Have you ever wanted to create your own handicapping dream team? You can build your own superstar handicapping lineup using our Pick Your Team program at both WagerTalk and SportsMemo.com. Even more exciting, until Monday, September 12th at midnight, you can save 10% off Pick Your Team using coupon code PYT10 when checking out. Dave Koken, Marco D'Angelo, and Ralph Michaels, JM Sports, Joseph D'Amico, and the Rocket Man. The combinations are endless as you can choose up to 5 handicappers. You start saving once you choose any 2 handicappers of your choice, and you can pay as little as under $6 per handicapper. Who will make up your dream lineup? Go to WagerTalk or Sports Memo, click Pick Your Team, and personally hand select your handicapping roster. Don't forget that coupon code PYT will expire on September 12th, so get your 10% discount and put together your personalized dream team today.
Welcome into First Pitch for Monday, September 5th. I am Drew Martin, joined by Matt Josephs and Tony Finn of WagerTalk.com. We're breaking down 3 games on tonight's slate. Best bets at the end. A good, quick show for you on this holiday. We're working so you don't have to. We're talking the Red Sox and Rays, White Sox and Mariners, followed by the Guardians and the Kansas City Royals. So let's get into it at the top here. Matt, coming to you first. AL East battle. Red Sox at Rays, Waka versus Patino. We're seeing a pick'em price here, 7 in the hook in Tropicana tonight. You liking anything in St. Petersburg, Florida tonight, Matt?
It's the Rays are so fascinating because they're like a bunch of magic people, because you look at their roster and you ask somebody who their best player is, and their best player is not even playing right now. It's Wander Franco. And you ask who their second best player is. It's probably Shane McClanahan, and he's, not even healthy right now. But this team just keeps on winning. Their system keeps on working. They've got their openers. They've got their guys who piggyback off the openers, and everything just seems to be okay. And I'm very intrigued by this Patino guy. I think Patino is one of these types that they bring up. He goes about 5 innings, gives them solid work, and then they go through the bullpen and keep things going. When you look at Michael Wacha, certainly a different pitcher on the road, and he gave up 4 runs against the Rays just a few starts ago. So my lean is to Tampa Bay here. I think that this is a team that just knows what they can do, stays within their limits, and just keeps winning ball games. So I don't really want to get in front of them right now.
Tony, coming to you next. I was waiting for Matt to name Manuel Margot. I would put him up near the top of one of their best players. Yeah. But it goes to show, the Rays have a lot of really good players that just step up. I mean, they're one of the most banged up teams in MLB in terms of their starters missing games this season. And Tony, they're right in the playoff mix, man. This team just does it year after year. What are your thoughts here in the Trop tonight?
Yeah, I don't think there's a bunch to discuss about this game. I think that what you two have outlined is spot on. First off, this team's getting healthier. We were out last night watching a little bit of Teddy and I and the legend Gabe Morency were out watching the football game last night, and I brought up Ted. We were looking at the highlights of the New York Yankees and the Tampa Bay game, and that I had a buddy of mine that was kind of starting to freak a little bit. He called me and said, I had a double-digit lead with my two futures on the Yankees. One was, their win total, and which I think there's no problem with that. But winning the division, he was only up 4 games, really, after a double-digit lead going into last night, and it was a big win for the Yankees, really 2-1. And as Teddy said last night, that's the way this team's going to have to win. It's really the way Tampa has to win too. They're getting healthier. These guys are all coming back, and to my surprise, Drew, I'm surprised they made this kind of a run. I think it's as much to do with the Yankees kind of, is a slump with any slump with their 2 and 3 hitters really is going to, they're going to suffer offensively. And they've shown that since the All-Star break. So Waka, I would have thought the last time I almost dove head first in on Tampa or against Tampa, I shouldn't say against Waka. With Tampa, the last time these two met, and Walker did the job, but it was fantastic. The thing is that Walker and the Red Sox were just a little bit better. I'm going to lean. I'm not in this room, but I'm definitely leaning Tampa. I can't believe Walker was at Tampa and got the instructions that turned his career around that makes him right now, 10-1 with a 2.56 ERA. There has to be some, unless I'm wrong, and tell me if I'm wrong, you guys, there has to be some regression for Walker because he has never been this good, not even when he had his big years with St. Louis. So, again, passing on the game, I don't think I'm going to be in this room, but if I was, it would be, lean would be at Tampa, definitely.
Good point with them getting healthier, which they are. They've been playing a lot better baseball too, as well, guys. Actually, you bring up the Yankees, Tony. I mean, they're starting to reel them in. I mean, it's actually doable to win the division, which we wouldn't have thought that a couple months ago. But since the Yankees have fallen off and the Rays playing better baseball, watch out there in the AL East. We got next game up here, Tony. Pacific Northwest, a lot going on in this one. A lot of cross currents here. Lance Lynn and Gonzalez, the lefty, going for the Mariners. I bring up the lefty because that's who the White Sox usually hit a little bit better. We've seen a big move here, Tony. In the overnights, it was the Mariners as the favorite. Now we're seeing the White Sox. So flip favorite here, money coming in on the Sox, and for good reason. The Mariners just played in like a 7-hour game with a rain delay yesterday. It's a terrible travel situation. First game home off of a road trip as well. A lot pointing towards the Sox. What are you liking here in Seattle tonight, Tony?
I'm going to go over just a little bit of this game because while it's not been officially entered yet, I have considerable positions inside of this game. So rather than give them all away, usually I don't typically mind giving them all away, but I still I'm not confirmed and concrete on a couple of the positions, so I don't want to contradict myself from the show to what I actually post. I will say this, and that is that everything you said is correct. First off, I'm a little bit. I'm higher on the White Sox than I've ever been, at least over the course of the last year and a half. Why? Because Tony La Russa is not around, and I don't want to wish ill will on anyone, and I hope Tony La Russa gets healthy and happy again. But I think this White Sox team is going to be better moving forward. They can't be much worse than they were. They haven't lived up to expectations, definitely, or at least hype. And if you look, you mentioned how well they've played or hit or produced against left-handers. If you look at their numbers this year against left-handers, not near what it was a year ago, and they weren't even as healthy. At least the lineup and the bats weren't as healthy last year. So a lot of contrary pieces of information come flying at you when you look at the White Sox. But I'm with you on this, and that is they're going to be better playing forward. They're still better against left-handers than they are right-handers. And if anyone has pitched above their skill set this year, it's been Gonzalez for Seattle. And give me the White Sox on the side here at a short price.
Matt, what about you, man? What do you like in Sox and M's tonight?
Well, I mean, I think the question is, do we actually believe that Lance Lynn's revitalization lately is actually there, or it's just, he's kind of feasted off of 4 bad lineups the last 4 starts. I mean, the Orioles lineup is probably the best of that foursome, but I mean, at times they are a really young team and they struggle against certain pitchers. So my question is Lance Lynn actually getting better, or is he just getting against, worse lineups? I think if I played anything in this game, it would probably be like the White Sox versus 5, as we've talked about. White Sox versus lefties, you certainly go in that direction. The situation calls for the White Sox. Gonzalez is a guy that I like to fade on the road a little bit more than I do at home. Now, he's nothing special either place, but he's quote-unquote better at home in my mind. So I would probably go White Sox versus 5 if I played anything here. But then again, I'm not a big Lance Lynn guy. So I think that his recent better stuff is because he's faced some bad lineups. And against this lineup, he might struggle a little bit.
Good stuff from both Matt Josephs and Tony Finn. Check Matt out at sportsmemo.com. Check Tony out, wegertalk.com. As we got one game left, followed by best bets. We get the Guardians and Royals. 130, that's the Cleveland, used to be called Indians, now Guardians. Minus 130 favorites here, minus 125 at some shops. 7 in the hook as the total. You liking anything in Kansas City tonight, Matt?
Well, I'll bring up this because I think a lot of people look at Brady Singer's K-prop and they see the 4.5 and like, man, that's really short. This guy can strike a lot of guys out. But for those who are not familiar, the Cleveland Guardians are the best in baseball against the K-props. They've gone under in 78 games against in their K-props. They've only gone over in 46. And if you look at the right-handers, they're 58 unders, 31 overs, only averaging 3.67 strikeouts against right-handed starting pitchers so far this season, so that's why we're seeing the lower number. The Royals, on the other hand, used to be one of these teams that didn't strike out a lot. Now they're kind of all over the place. They're really hard to predict. I do have a best bet in this game. It'll be in our next segment, so I'll get to that a little bit later, but just explaining to people why Singer's K-prop is a little lower than you'd expect, because this Guardian team just doesn't strike out.
And Matt, just in your opinion here, why is that? Is it just bat-to-ball skill? Do they walk a lot? Do they see a lot of, like, what makes a team, in your opinion, have that skill?
I just think it's approach. I think a lot of times they just get a lot of contact. They're not necessarily a team that walks more than anybody else. They don't necessarily work the counts more than anybody else, but they just manage to get, a lot of contact. And so, there's certainly pitchers that have gone over against them. We look at, Kyle Bradish had 5, but then again, this is a Guardians team quite often that has 2.5 and 3.5 for the K-props. And so there might be games where they don't strike out a lot, but they still go over the 2.5 or the 3.5. Singer could certainly go over the 4.5, but you won't see me quite often play any overs against the Guardians because I'm just going to naturally lean under. And if it loses, it loses. But you at least know they've gone under the most of anybody in Major League Baseball.
Sure. Good stuff from Matt Josephs. We got Tony here. Anything in conclusion in Kansas City tonight, man? I
have a best bet in this game like Matt does.
Let's start it off.
Quickly, let's do it. You want me to start it off? Okay.
Start it off.
We'll do that then.
Start us off.
First and foremost, Singer has been a surprise. And this is Kansas City, obviously Kansas City, Cleveland, at the K in Kansas City where, the weather's not quite as hot as it has been during the heat wave, so it's coming down a little bit. But the ball really doesn't travel that great at Royal Stadium. This is one of the few parks that plays to the wind, especially if you have any wind coming in or any wind going out. It does affect the flight of the ball. But more tonight, this game is more about McKenzie and Singer. McKenzie didn't have a great start last time out. I'm a big fan of McKenzie. I know he's young. I was a fan of him last year. He still has a lot of growing to do. And when he's good, he's really good. And sometimes when he's not so good, he's really not so good. This is a Kansas City lineup that Matt just outlined perfectly. And that is they're all over the place. And a lot of times it depends on what they want to do and how they're approaching a pitcher. And this team gets a ton of instruction, whether they're listening or not, is another thing. Obviously, this year has been a tough year, less than what people expected. But for the most part, this is all about Singer, who has been, I think, pitched a little bit above his pay grade, but at home against a lineup like this, as Matt again outlined, they hit for contact. That's their approach at the plate, is put the bat on the ball, much like the 2015 Royals. Put the bat on the ball, make the opposing team defend you, put pressure on them, et cetera, et cetera. They've done a great job of that tonight. But McKenzie, Singer, under 7.5, and I don't think by game time you're going to get 7.5. I think right now it's pretty heavy juice to the under. But my free pick tonight, or my complimentary play, would be to wager on the under in the Kansas City Cleveland game. Watch it. You can get it on TV somewhere, somehow, and win. How about that?
Like it, Tony. Transitioning here into best bets. I'll follow them up. I'm heading to Camden Yards here, guys. Going up against the Baltimore Orioles, who they've been good at home. Got to give them that. They've been profitable for the season. But I'm actually going at this on the Blue Jays. And the reason why, Berrios, their starting pitcher, keep in mind, guys, this past weekend, Toronto did a bullpen game in order to have Gausman and Berrios go today in the doubleheader against the Orioles, because it's a very important game in the standings for the wild card. I'm going to use that to our advantage here. Berrios off of extra rest as well. His last time out versus the Baltimore Orioles, 7 innings, 8 strikeouts, only 3 hits given up. He dominated this lineup, and overall in his career, he has less than a 590 team OPS against, meaning on base plus slugging percentage, under 590. That's the Baltimore Orioles against Berrios. So he's really dominated this lineup. And with the Camden Yards reconfiguration, this is only the Blue Jays' 3rd game in Baltimore. You know, they moved their fences back in left field, raised them as well. I think that all helps Berrios tonight. So getting the Blue Jays at the minus 128 price tag. That's my best bet for the show. Early start here. Game number 2 of the doubleheader starts projected to start at 4:10 Eastern. Throw it over to Mid-Major Matt on Twitter, Matt Joseph, sportsmemo.com. Guys, he's 70-45 MLB run here. He also started off college football 14-5 in week 1, so probably week 0 as well. He's got a play up for tonight, Georgia Tech and Clemson for just $9 Monday. Check him out, sportsmemo.com. Matt Josephs, he knows his mid-major conferences. He knows his ACC as well. He does a show on ESPN radio there in Richmond, Virginia. So, Matt, any final thoughts here for the show, what the listeners need to know about, and where are you going for best bets?
So my best bet is, and this guy's kind of walked the tightrope a little bit lately because we've gotten a bunch of these under 2.5 earned runs. But I'm going to go back to the Kansas City game, and I'm going to take under 2.5 earned runs allowed by Tristan McKenzie. And as Tony said, I mean, McKenzie's been very good this year. It was a little disappointing. I had the under 2.5 earned runs in that start against Seattle. He gives up the walk, a double, and then a homer, and that bet loses in the first inning. And then after that first inning, he was fantastic. He's given up 2 earned runs or less in around 7 of his last 10 starts. He's seen the Royals 9 times in his career. He's gone under this number 7 times. So as long as the books are going to keep giving me this number, I'll keep falling for it. I really like Tristan McKenzie against this young lineup. I think he matches up well against Kansas City. So give me Tristan McKenzie under 2.5 earned runs allowed. It's around minus 130 on DraftKings. Shop around for the different juices. And that's my best bet for tonight.
Just heard it there from Matt. Tristan McKenzie under 2.5 earned runs allowed, minus 130. Finn, Guardians, Royals under 7.5, and I'm on the Jays minus 128 in game number 2 of the doubleheader in Baltimore. For Tony Finn, Matt Josephs, I am Drew Martin. Thanks for tuning in. Have a fun weekend here in terms of the holiday, the end of the holiday weekend. Enjoy it, guys. Best of luck with your bets. We'll be back tomorrow, same time, same place. Come back and join us. Best of luck until then.
Ready to take your favorite WagerTalk handicappers wherever you travel this football season? The WagerTalk TV app is now live for phones, tablets, smart TVs, and streaming platforms. Tune into your favorite shows like WagerTalk Today, Bet On It, and the Opening Line Report, plus browse through our extensive library of sports betting tips. Create your personal playlist of betting tip videos to help you prepare for the upcoming season, and set notifications to alert you when new content is added. Download the app for Apple, Android, Amazon, and Roku devices by searching for WagerTalk TV, or scan the QR code on your screen to join the winning conversation today.